Hello, investors. Welcome. Another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Friends, what if I was going to tell you that there are businesses out there, like we are going to talk to today, that not only do good, use lower power, help the world as far as security and, as I mentioned, power, but also have great margins and you as an investor could make a profit? Would that be interesting? Well, certainly me as an investor, that is super interesting to me. And that's why I'm so happy to have Gerard Dyson from Spectur. And he's going to talk all about the company, what they do, how their products make the world safer, and have the lowest energy and data usage out of any product in their field for what they deliver. With that introduction, Gerard, welcome to 18 Minutes with 180 Markets.
Thank you, Greg. What a great introduction. You know, I like that company, how that sounds too. It's brilliant.
Excellent. Hey, Gerard, everyone's got a story and yours is a global story. Can you just tell us in a couple minutes about yourself?
Yeah. So thank you, Greg. I'm Gerard. I'm an engineer. I'm proud to be an engineer. Spent, a bit of time working a lot of different places in the world, including England and Canada and the US and Southeast Asia, Middle East. So I'm a bit of a journeyman, seen a lot of different things, and really excited to eventually stop my journey and come back and live in Australia again and get behind the wheel of Spectur. So I've been here for just over 2 years and, really, put myself inside the business, looking at what our future is and resetting the strategy and the culture and the direction of the organization, and really excited about how we take this from being what is, a very exciting opportunity into what I think over time will become a truly global business.
Yeah, and before we get into the product, and I'm dying to get into the numbers, I think one of the interesting things about you, Gerard, that people should know about. Can you just go a little bit deeper? You have run some big businesses before. Can you just touch on that, because you're not in there to just run a small company, are you?
No. Well, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, Greg, but I guess I should let people know I have a trumpet. So, my last role was with Worley Parsons, as it was called, or Worley, as it's called now. And I ran their consulting business at Vision, which was responsible for all of North and South America. And that was about $150 million profit and loss. And before that, I was the group managing director of infrastructure globally, which was a $1 billion portfolio of business. So, I've certainly been involved in much larger organizations and very substantial roles. And I think that gives me a business view and an idea of what good looks like going forward. It certainly exposed me also to a lot of opportunities around acquisition and what works and what doesn't, and around systems and processes and discipline as organizations grow.
Yeah, so it's really that combination of the technical, what I call the hard skill set of the engineer, but also the practical skill set of a businessman, like what's really going to happen in the real world, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm a mongrel.
Exactly. So turning on to Spectur specifically, can you just tell us a little bit about your products?
Yeah, well, first I'd say is I never describe us as being a product company. I think that's where we came from. We started out as a, solar power security camera company. And if you go back even further than that, it wasn't even solar powered. It was, how do you take a mobile phone and turn it into a security camera? And I think, that was a really interesting evolution. And we have been leaders in this space from when the business started in 2009. But I think what happened about 2.5 years ago is certainly there were other entrants into that space, and it was starting to be commoditized at the bottom end of that market. And I think when we started to look at our strategy going forward, is we saw a pathway to, a really exciting growth pathway around pivoting from being a product company to a solutions company for the next few years around, and initially it's security solutions, surveillance, safety and warning type solutions, but ultimately to then pivot in the longer term into being a platform company, whereby we're able to bring third-party softwares, third-party sensors into our solar platform and software ecosystem that would bring in other people to develop effectively on our platform, which is why we are looking at always putting more solutions off the same hardware platform. So that's kind of the, the long-term vision.
Yeah, and is that also because that way, so to speak, if you have a client or have a customer, if you're working for a solution for them, they say to you, Gerard, this is my problem. How do I fix it? Then you can draw from all different kinds of products out there in the marketplace, not just your own. Is that a good way to think about it?
Yes, I mean, we are very disciplined. I'm a great believer, and anyone who's heard me ramble on this before has heard me say it, is I don't want to be the fox. The fox chases everything and catches nothing. We are very focused on what we do. So we provide outdoor solutions to safety warning, security, surveillance, and those adjacent areas using our autonomous solar-powered sensing, thinking, and acting platform. So that's what we do. So if someone wants to say, oh, I want to wire up my warehouse of security, I say, that good luck to you. Let me introduce you to some people. That's not what we do. And so, but what we want to do is within those spaces is increasingly we work with multiple artificial intelligence providers to support us in providing a solution, and also other providers of different sensors and technology that we can integrate into our solution. And so what we end up with is, and it's in our internal words, so don't tell anyone, is, Mr. Potato Head is effectively, we've got a modular system that allows us to bring in technology from software point of view, AI, to bring in hardware sensing or different cameras, and then also hardware actions, turn on a light, open a valve, shut a gate, and to be modular to do that, to solve these problems. And the beauty is, initially a customer will come and say, I've got a security issue. We solve that problem. And then, well, would you like a time-lapse video of your site while we're there? And while we're there, do you also want to be able to go back and analyze if there are any claims and do claims management from safety or progressing? Or would you be interested in having a signboard to direct contractors that come in and out? And then all of a sudden you provide multiple solutions, and then it's very difficult to duplicate. The analogy I would give, if you indulge me for 1 second, Greg, is the mobile phone is at the moment, when these phones first came out, the smartphone did multiple things. And if I said to you right now, I've got a really cheap Nokia 6110, I'll swap it for your phone, you wouldn't give it up, because you're switching, or A, your phone doesn't just do phone calls anymore, it does other things, and B, your switching costs to do all the other things would be difficult. That's all we're trying to do with our platform, is not just rifle shots on security, it's other things as well. Then customers become sticky.
Right. And speaking of customers, can you just tell us about where are your target customers? Are they in the city, remote, just a little bit about what would be a typical client? Yeah.
So from a sector point of view, we are very focused on government, local and state government in particular, utilities, and then construction and building. We do service other people, but that's generally from an inbound point of view. From our sales team, we go out to those customers. And so that enables us to, again, focus effort to be able to make good penetration into those core markets there.
Yeah. And, speaking of penetration and making progress, turning to the numbers, you are getting the results. Can you just talk about the sales pipeline and the recurring revenue, and just how is it working? Because it is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you go back a couple of years ago and the business was really running on inbound marketing. It would spend a reasonable amount of money on digital marketing, on paid search, SEO optimization, those sort of things. But it was very reactive, because it relied on someone to have identified that they had a problem that they could then go search for to find us. And that works up to a point, but it makes you, by definition, commoditized, because if someone's looking for it, then there's going to be other people that can solve it. And so what we've done over the last 2 years is we've probably pulled back on that a bit, and then we've built up an outbound sales model and an account management model. So we create advocates out of our customers, and then we get referrals, and then we are also targeting key customers. And what that's led to is a very substantial increase in order size. And so instead of Bob and Joe's building got broken into on Monday, I want to buy one camera, is now, we have institutional customers that we've targeted that do have a longer sales cycle, but they're buying in 15s and 10s and 20s and 50s and 100s in multiple multiple repeating patterns. And they're also valuing differentiation of what we do rather than it just needs to do X. And that allows us to take control of who we want to strategically deal with. And it also has meant that our pipeline has got much bigger, because previously our pipeline had almost no visibility past, you know, who's rung up today. And that was a very short sales cycle. Now our pipeline stretches out, you know, into next year as we look at things that are going through that sales cycle. And it's grown a lot. You know, just in the last 2 months, our pipeline went from about 1.8 of probability weighted pipeline up to more than 2.3. And it's, you know, I can say it's continuing to grow from there as well. And that's why we're converting to revenue as well. So it's not like it's all just going to pipeline and there's no revenue. Is we've got revenue dropping out of that pipeline, but we're adding to it faster than the revenue's coming out. So, and in an environment with a reasonable amount of lockdown.
Yeah, it's incredible. And Gerard, do you think that now we're getting the results maybe of the work over the last 24 months? Is that what's happening in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, this is fruit of a long sales cycle. You know, you go back this time last year and we were absolutely, you know, had moved ourselves into austerity mode. We'd cut a lot of costs. I'd certainly cut my salary and a lot of the business had really pulled back, but we did not cut staff. We did not cut marketing costs. We did not cut sales costs. And the investments that we have been putting in place over that preceding period and through that period paying off now. Is these longer term customers, these longer term relationships, they're blossoming. Customers that were trialing and buying in 2s and 3s, well, now we're talking about orders of, you know, 10s or 20s or 50s or 100s. And that's, you know, that's what feeds into this pipeline growth. And it's the account management and it's the nurturing and it's the referral. Very exciting time for us.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. And also, and I think it's worth maybe just clarifying that you are a solutions company. So you're not going to get necessarily just driven to the ground by somebody comes in with a cheaper price or somebody just has a better single pony than you do. Can you just talk about how you view the business? Because you are quite strategic in your approach.
Yeah, so I mean, we use, you know, the whole red ocean, blue ocean language when we're talking about our targets and our offerings is, yes, we are in a bit of a red ocean around, you know, solar power security cameras into the building industry. And we service that market, but we don't go outbound into it now. We nurture it, we look after it, we'll continue to support our customers there. But our real focus is on growing the differentiated elements of our business where we have, where the power of our very low power consumption, low data consumption, and our technology, you know, additions is valued. And that's where we put our focus in. And so, you know, the company right now, we have more than 500 active customers, more than 2,000 systems deployed. We've got plenty of data about good customers and everything in between. And so we're really looking to not drop anything, but how many of those red ocean customers can we evolve into purple, for example? And then how do we really focus on you know, building that purple and blue part of the business, which just keeps driving margin up. It moves us into a more protected and differentiated position with better customers and better in all the ways that, you know, that count.
Yeah, it's the classic, what I call the 80-20 analysis, the 80%, you know, you want to get rid of the other 20% and keep those 80% moving forward.
Yeah. And, you know, we're not getting rid of them, but I'm not interested in going into price competition. You know, we don't do competitive proposals. We don't do, you know, if someone says, oh, I can do it for 10% cheaper, I say, good luck to you. You're going to get a lot less than 10% of what you want, or in terms of our attributes. But if that's not what you need, and you just need that, it's like, you know, there's a reason that Toyota makes Lexus, is that like the Lexus buyer, if you just want 2 wheels and to go from A to B, go buy a Corolla. But if, you know, and I'm not saying that we're Lexus. I think we are a premium offering, but we're not trying to price ourselves into a minority. But we have a premium offering that does things that no one else can do because of our low power, low data consumption platform. And for those that value that in that niche, you know, we're the only ones that can help them.
Excellent. Hey, Gerard, you know, the markets are always about what's going to happen next. In your mind, what would be your definition of success for Spectur over the next, call it, 12 months?
Yeah, so I think, if I think about we were sort of planning a little bit of our IR over the next few months in particular and into next year is, we think we're going to have a bit to say about customer contracts. So we think we'll be talking about, some very interesting, blue chip type customers that will be growing for us. We think we're going to be talking about releasing updates or technology. And I think a lot of that will come down to technology partnerships. And we've started sort of speaking a little bit about this, and I'll speak some more about it soon, is, this is that slight evolution into the platform element, is working closely with other people in the ecosystem, whether it's AI companies or sensing. So we'll start to talk about proof of concepts or customers we've developed in that space. So people will start to see that element of the business. And, we are very, unashamedly acquisitive. And we've been looking very hard for probably 18 months, maybe 2 years. And I'm very fussy. So we've looked at a lot of things. We went a long way with 2. And for a variety of reasons, we pulled back from both of those. Because again, my experience working at Worley, I've seen really good acquisition, and I've seen, massive destruction of value. And I don't, and I'm very mindful about shareholders' money, because it's my money too. I want to make sure that what we do is really additive and accretive to the company, and fits with the story and where we're going right now. So we're being fussy, but I think, it's quite plausible that we would see an acquisition in the next 12 months as well.
Great. Hey, Gerard, we just have to keep these interviews short. Do you have any closing remarks for the audience?
I'm really excited to be in Spectur. And I think there's a huge growth horizon in front of us. I think we've got a business with a very large accessible market, well in excess of $100 million in Australia, I believe, and well in excess of, it's a multi-billion-dollar market out there, and we don't have a lot of competitors in it. So I'm quite excited by it. We have good gross margins, which is what you'd expect for a business that has lower competitive pressures in it. And we've got a great subscription revenue that's going on right now that's been quite resilient. So great time to be in Spectur. We don't look like every other company, which is why we sometimes fall between the cracks. But that's a great reason to be in Spectur, because we don't look like every other company.
Absolutely, Gerard. Thank you so much for your time, and definitely stay in touch.
My pleasure. Thank you, Greg.